I was reading an article on The Athletic from Tim Cato. Thought it was very well done. And it talked about the four biggest Mavericks questions ahead of a stretch that might define their future. At this point, it feels like I think every game will define their future. And that's probably not accurate, but who the hell knows? And the first thing that came up, and I'm curious y'all's take as well, since we've talked a lot about shortening up the rotation, who can play in the postseason? Like, honestly, who from this team, if you're constructing the postseason rotation, would you put out there?
Well, easily Luka, Kyrie, PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford.
Yes.
I think those should be 4 of your 5 starters. And then you have to make the choice of, do you want Derek Jones Jr.? Do you want Josh Green? In a way, I don't think he'd be a starter. Do you want Kleba or Exum? I think those guys are better coming off the bench. But I think 4 of your 5 starters, I think you're getting very defined. And it's nothing against Lively. He's in your playoff rotation.
Yes.
So everybody I named, I think, should be in your playoff rotation, plus Tim Hardaway Jr. But I don't know in the playoffs if you can play that many players because the TV timeouts are so long. If you just start marking Luka for 42 minutes, that leaves 6 minutes at his spot to pick up off the bench. Kyrie probably needs to play 40 minutes. So that leaves 8 minutes. PJ Washington, 30. Gafford, let's say 24 to 30. And then Lively picks up the rest. And so you just start looking, you're like, hey, you can't play 5 guys off the bench. There's not enough minutes. So you have to kind of pick 3.
So the ones we have for sure, Luka, Kyrie, PJ, Gafford, Derek Jones, Josh Green, Derek Lively, and you said Hardaway?
Yeah, did you say Exum in there too?
I did not. And so that's the
I
question.
mentioned Exum too, because he could start for you. You have an open start spot where this is where Jason Kidd, I just don't think he's on this level at all. We started different guys in the run to the championship. It was sometimes Deshaun Stevenson, and then it was J.J. Barea. And, you kind of tried to mix and match, and you had lost Caron Butler that year. He would have been a starter, and you wouldn't have had to deal with that. But there has to be matchups where you feel like we can take advantage of the first 5 or 6 minutes because Josh Green is starting or because Maxi Kleba is starting. I don't know, but this is where the best coaches can figure out. I have 10 guys to choose from. 2 of them probably aren't going to play at all. And then I got to figure out what's my best matchups in this series.
And the other one I was going to throw out there, but I know his minutes have been diminishing, is Maxi Kleba, who's obviously been at the 4 more than the 5. Do you cap those 9, or are you like, well, he'll inevitably get in there?
Maxi is going to play.
Okay. So now we're up to 10.
I think your people that aren't going to play in the playoffs, your choice. One of these has to just sit there and wave a towel and be ready if there's major foul trouble or injury. And it's one of these 3 guys. Exum, Derek Jones Jr., and Josh Green.
Okay.
One of those guys is not going to. Now, if you play all 10, you can, but, if I play for 4 minutes, can I do anything in 4 minutes to affect the game while I've sat on the bench for 30 minutes of not game time, but I've just sat there for 30 minutes after warm-ups, and you're going to put me in for 3 minutes in the second quarter, and that's all I'm going to play. How am I supposed to make an impact? Wouldn't you rather just have a guy who's already broken a sweat and in the rhythm of the game?
Most likely.
Are we 100% sure of the version of Josh Green we're going to get?
No, I have no clue.
That's
come
a
playoff
fair
time.
question.
And so I kind of put like him and Exum together because I don't know which Exum version I'm going to get either. Hell, I don't know what I'm going to get out of Lively or Gafford in the playoffs either, but I know they're bigs and I got to run those guys out there. So when it comes to Josh Green, I know there's energy, there's all sorts of, there's still potential mistakes. That's the thing that kind of concerns me the most is there's that potential for I drove into the lane expecting a basket and now I don't know what to do with the ball and I'm also in the air. And that's where you have to eliminate those things if you're going to play closer games. I anticipate playoff basketball in the NBA to not – I could be wrong. There were a bunch of blowouts last year, but I expected it to be a little like closer games as you get down the stretch rather than these 140, 130 games.
Right.
And the details, those fine details are where I'm just like, is Josh Green ready for that still?
And multiple people going back and asking about Hardy. If we're already squeezing out minutes there, that's another one where it's tough to see.
He's not going to play. Unless there's major injury, he ain't going to play a second in the playoffs.
He started 6 games averaging 14 minutes. Josh Green started 32 games, averaging 27 minutes. So I feel like as much as I love Hardy and the option there, it's not going to happen.
I'm not against him at all. I like his future, but
this has been a really disappointing season from development standpoint of Jaden Hardy, I think.
Yeah, but where was he going to play? As much as I'm not a big fan of kids, you tell me who I'm supposed to sit on the bench because he's got his minutes, his majority of minutes when Kyrie Irving was out.
Yeah.
So, but when you look at Hardaway Jr., who I don't think he's going to win Sixth Man of the Year, but was competing for it for the majority of the season, and you have Luka and Kyrie and Dante Exum and Josh Green, I can only play so many guys, and I can't play, even though Jason Kidd seems to want to try it, I can't play all guys 6'6" and under on the court at the same time.
Can Dallas, the Mavericks that is, find their defensive synchronicity? So Dallas went into Monday's game against the Bulls, which are obviously much better, giving up 123.1 points per 100 possessions since the All-Star break. That is the worst in the league by almost 4 points. Nobody is saying that this is going to magically turn into a great defensive team. Can you get to the point where you're like, hey, we're not the worst, or we're not bottom 5, or however you want to classify it?
When they're good, though, their defense is really good. When they're winning, look at their
You think it's really good or average?
Ooh. Well, I guess it's against bad teams, so we'll call it average.
Okay.
But that is the thing that you could hang it on, is that like their defensive effort being better is the reason that wins turn out.
There's 2 above average games they've played after the All-Star break against good teams. Phoenix and Miami. 113 and 108. I know those sound like bigger numbers if
they're not.
But they're not in today's game, and I thought the energy and effort was, you can do this. But I was watching TNT a little bit last night, and Shaq and Jamal Crawford, and I'm always forgetting the woman's name, who's the Candace Parker. They were talking about defense, and I believe they were talking about Milwaukee. And they're just saying, look, defense is so much about effort. You have to be completely and totally engaged. All 5 guys, all it takes is one guy to go, I don't feel like playing defense this possession.
Right, yep.
And everything breaks down. So all it takes is Tim Hardaway Jr. to be disappointed he didn't make his 3-point shot and not care about defense. And it ruins everybody's defense. Lucas, I'm tired.
Yep.
I'm mad at the ref. It ruins the whole defense. So if you have one guy who says, I'm not engaging on defense this possession, it ruins everything. So Shaq was saying, you have to make sure as a leader, he was talking last night about the Bucks, I believe, you have to make sure you get on your guys. The 4 guys playing with you have to be engaged in defense, and you have to be the leader of that. Not the best defender, but you have to be the leader of making sure we're all engaged on this side of the court if we want to be a championship contender.
Cato brought up a good example of this, was Luka tracking down his defensive assignment in the corner in the first quarter against the Bulls when they were already up by 22 points. And so that was the next thing that came up. I know we're talking about defense, and I do want to focus on that. But the question was, will Luka do the little things? And they don't all have to be defensively, but that is an example of a championship level play. Is you're up 22 points in the first quarter, but your guy's going out to the corner, and you're going to make sure that you don't lose him. Or they could be a variety of little plays. Did you make that hustle play? It doesn't always have to be diving on the floor or whatever, but are there enough little things here and there that Luka can do? Because we all know he can score all the points, get all the rebounds, all the assists. Will there be other little plays, most likely defensively, that will make the difference for this team?
Will he sacrifice maybe a few defensive rebounds to make sure he doesn't have to close out hard? He's already in the guy's face.
Sure.
I think a lot of his defensive rebounds is because he's in great position for rebounding. Like
I get that.
And he's a big guy in that area. He's good at it. He has a good sense for it. But I think if you're out on that guy, if you're making sure your guy's taken care of, then you're not necessarily in that position all the time.
And then the last one I was curious about here: when will Daniel Gafford ever miss a shot again? And why is the answer never? Seriously, it's ridiculous. 28 straight shots over 4 games. We've talked about how that's the longest in the recorded play-by-play era. However, there are other people who say the actual record is Wilt Chamberlain with 35. Daniel Gafford has made 28. It doesn't feel crazy to say he could hit 8 more.
So tonight it could happen?
Yes.
Because he's usually about 7 shots a game, am I right?
Yes, I think it's been 7, 7, 5, and 9. So
Okay.
it's been, pretty close.
And tonight, I need to know who's healthy. I know Curry isn't, but
Correct.
is Looney their only big guy? Like, don't they play small ball a lot?
Because otherwise they're going green.
Yeah, so if you get the ball to Gafford and he keeps the ball above his head, it's going to be an easy layup or an easy dunk. That being said, what I'm going to be interested to know, and I know you're talking about playoffs, here's what I'm going to be interested to know. Dwight Powell doesn't do this at the level that Gafford and Lively do. Not at all. But he's done this before. I saw him make 18 in a row going into the 2021 playoffs, and it was like, man, this works. And then it absolutely doesn't work. It's never worked in the history of Dwight Powell. Whatever he's done positive in the regular season based off this pick and roll situation, teams take it away and make it irrelevant. Well, teams take it if the Mavericks make the real playoffs and we get to see 7 games or more than 7 games in the playoffs. Are teams going to easily take away Gafford and Lively diving to the basket after a pick? Because they easily take it away when Powell and Kleba are the ones setting picks.
I don't think so, just because I think both of the players that you listed are more dynamic, but that is a
I
that
think
is
so
a fair
too.
question.
That's why if they take it away now, if I don't know who you play, but if why even do this anymore in the regular season? If we're preparing for the playoffs and we know this will never work in the playoffs, let's just throw it out and go, let's work on things that we think will work in the playoffs.
Now, go ahead.
I love watching Gafford on the lob, though. Like,
oh, sure.
The dude can just fly. It's a lot of fun. Now, again, get back on defense as soon as you can. But like that part, just watching him get into the air, where he'll take the ball. I mean, that dude can absolutely. It's a lot of fun watching him and Luka together.
And Lively does it too.
Yes.
It's kind of no. The only thing Lively seems to have, which I'm surprised with, and I'll mention this again.
Better hands.
He has better, not hands. He has better touch around the basket.
Okay.
Like sometimes he'll shoot a 5 to 7 foot little hook shot or little kind of one-handed. I don't know if you want to call it bunny, I guess would be the best way to present it. Kind of that hop. But I'm like, wow, there's some touch. Gafford, for the most part, I haven't seen that type of touch. I've seen more authority. And Lively has that too, but I don't know. Out of these shots he's making, these 28 in a row, it feels like dunks and like off the glass. Like
it is not a
physicality.
It is not a big shot chart.
Yeah.
If that is what we're going at, and you're going to see it tonight, but tomorrow I kind of want to chop this up with you a little bit more. We talk about some of the potential disadvantages for the Mavericks. I will tell you this: if you're playing a team that does not have a good shooting big man, these two have really taken advantage of them.
Yeah.
So we can investigate that more as we go along. I want to throw out a couple of quick things for you. Greg Gumbel is going to miss the NCAA tournament due to family health issues. And I'm bummed because, first of all, I just like him as a broadcaster, and I hope everything in his family is okay. But he feels like March Madness to me. There's probably multiple people that you could throw out like that, but I always think he's phenomenal on the coverage. And then
I was always shocked whenever I was like, hold on, Brad Sham's doing a March Madness game? What's happening right now?
that's an interesting comp.
He's
Yeah.
good at everything, I guess.
And then UFC legend, former heavyweight champ Mark Coleman is hospitalized right now. He saved his parents from a house fire. That's amazing to me.
Hero.
He's 59 years old, and I haven't seen an update today except that he's still in the hospital. And obviously you hope he's okay, but holy crap. How did they get in the hospital? I went into a burning house to save my parents. Wow.
Did he walk out at 59 with both parents over like either
Probably.
shoulder, just kind of carrying them out?
He's still a pretty big dude, so maybe so.